Yeah, so welcome to the Monitoring the Situation podcast. Uh, we're your host. My name is Pratik, and my friend Ian.
Yo.
We so I'm. Let's just introduce ourselves first. I'm a journalist by trade. I work for a newspaper here in PEI, and Ian and I we went to same journalism school. That's how we became friends. And we just we always talk about politics, international politics, and whatnot all the time. So we just decided. I just texted him a couple of weeks ago that maybe it's good that we can start a podcast. It might be good. So then it just happened. So
Yeah, we heard the call. We heard that the world needed two more guys with the podcast, and we were like, we will deliver. Yeah. As Pratik said, I'm Ian. Went to school at Pratik, and before that, I was in the Canadian Armed Forces for a while, and now I am blissfully out of it, and also writing as an editor for Avant-Garde Press, where this video will be hosted.
yeah. So. Uh, Uh, what was I going to say? Yeah, so I forgot to mention, I'm originally from Nepal. I came to Canada probably five years ago almost. So that's my background, and the reason to start this podcast is just because we just have brain worms for politics, I guess. We just cannot help ourselves. We just
We tell each other about it, so we might as well tell whoever else is willing to listen while we're at it.
exactly like whatever happens, in Canada or United States or in the world, we just constantly keep talking, sharing news and stuff to each other. So we just decided, let's just do it in a different form that might be productive, and just like you said, um, two more guys with podcasts. What could go wrong, right? So yeah. Uh, so I think uh, so. Our podcast is mostly going to be about politics from Canadian perspective because we're in Canada, right? Even though I'm not Canadian yet.
Give it a bit.
Yeah, not yeah. It's a couple more years. Uh, it's gonna be Canadian perspective, and we're gonna talk mostly about uh, uh, geopolitics, which means we will talk about American politics. We're gonna talk about how America is, America's standing uh, in the world right now, what the country is up to, and right now the most prevalent news is the war with Iran. So I think our first episode is just got to be the war with Iran.
Yeah, well, there's no shortage of stuff to discuss when it comes to the war in Iran, too. We're now on, what is it, week 3 now of the conflict? Yep.
I mean, almost a month.
Almost
it started,
a month,
but February.
I want to say the 20th. Yeah,
26th today.
Yeah.
So we're recording on the March 26th today. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so a full month and really no end in sight by any analysis that isn't the brainworms of Donald Trump. I mean, he says what he wants about negotiations. I don't think. At last check, he says he's in contact with the Iranian government. I don't believe him.
Yeah, I don't know who is talking to. I feel like I was just joking with my coworkers yesterday that he might got the scam calls saying I'm the Ayatollah of Iran. If you give me $100 Walmart gift card, I can open the Strait of Hormuz or something.
It's worth a shot at this point. I mean, it's better than what the Americans have cooked for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying he's been talking to this top level government person.
Yes,
and he doesn't want to name because he doesn't want them to be killed, but I'm wondering who's killing them, first of all.
Yeah. He said that, like, well, we're worried about them being killed. Like, well, it's a pity that the president of the United States doesn't have a power over his military,
Yeah.
or perhaps the military of his colonial friend Israel. But yeah, it's pretty clear that there is a complete like incoherence in any in everything, all their decision making, but especially it seems their efforts to bring about an end to the conflict seem to be simultaneously inept and also super dangerous and aggressively stupid. It's a trifecta. It's really hard to get.
Yeah. So now we were talking about we did this. Sorry, we did this test episode last weekend. We were talking about is are we heading towards invasion? Is American invasion inevitable? So I think it is.
Yeah,
by the looks of it.
If not inevitable, it seems pretty likely. At this point, the U.S. has just under 10,000 ground troops moving to the area if they're not there already. They've said they have approximately 3,000 troops, from the 2nd Airborne Division. About 2,500 from the Marines on USS Tripoli, and another 2,500 from the Marines on the USS Boxer battle group, which left San Diego last week. The Tripoli is from Sasebo in Japan, so it'll be there a little earlier. And that total amount puts it under 10,000 troops with a very small armored and mechanized contingent. So I don't know what they're planning on invading with a force that small, but it's not going to be mainland Iran. At least not successfully at any rate. I mean, as we've seen already, bad ideas seem to be pretty common. So maybe they're going to try something, but if they were to invade mainland Iran with less than 10,000 ground troops, I feel like that would be a disaster in the making.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even I was reading today that when they were invading Iraq in 2003, it took them 21 days for Baghdad to fall. And they went with how many?
Yeah, I think it was 600,000.
Yeah.
So 600,000 troops, yeah.
So it took them, and
nearly a month.
Mind you, Saddam's government wasn't strong. The Iraqi army wasn't very strong because they had been sanctioned since 1991. There was already an invasion.
They're completely demoralized.
Exactly. But even then, it took them 21 days to take over capital of such a crippled economy. Of course, and I don't think how it's possible. I think their hopes is to take control of Karg Island, or maybe try to take control of the Strait of Hormuz. But it's just I read today that Iranian news agency published saying they have a million army ready, IRGC soldiers ready for Americans.
And that's a credible number. The Iranian military uses conscription fairly heavily, and it has a very large pool of reservists that that they could draw upon in the event of a conflict. So their standing army alone, minus those conscripts, is about 600,000. So the notion they could draw up a million soldiers in arms in short notice is credible. It's definitely credible. And as we know, they have the motivation for it right now. A lot of the Iranian revolutionary regime's ideological position has been that the Americans are coming and they have to be prepared. And now, for the past 40 years, they've been preparing for this. And now it seems like all of that propaganda has proven completely accurate. So, it looks like there's no reason to suspect Iran is going to be the side that folds on this. Not before that,
right? And I think let's backtrack a little bit. So what I wanted to it's crazy that of course for the past 40 years or so since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. There's always been constant back and forth between America, United States, and Iran, right, with all the hostage crisis and whatnot. And I think, but I don't think any uh, other government before Trump, even Trump, first term, first term, Trump wasn't ready to do this. Like no one was foolish enough to do this because Iran has always been historically Persia. Of course, they were invaded. They were, they were crippled. They were whatever, but nobody could conquer Persia or Iran.
No, the last people who succeeded were the Iqthalnate, the Mongols that diverted south and would later go on to sack Baghdad.
Yeah.
In the 1200s is the last time somebody successfully invaded Iran. I mean, there have been incursions. The British and the Russians have both invaded parts of them in the past, but nobody's ever succeeded in taking a hold of that nation and holding it. If they don't want you to be there, you won't be.
Yeah.
Afghanistan on a grand scale with a modern military, a modern economy, and 96 million people.
Yeah.
Yeah, in spite of the fact that this is the neocon hawks in the U.S. administration's, basically it's their wet dream. In spite of that, the U.S. is not ideologically or physically prepared for it. It seems like, as you said, and even in Trump's first term, he wasn't interested in it, and he was trying to arrive at some form of deal with the Iranians, deal in the Trumpian sense of the term.
Yeah.
But yeah, even the most hawkish in the U.S. administration, thus until this administration, have come up headlong with the fact that there are geopolitical reasons they cannot invade Iran.
Yeah.
And now it seems that they've tipped that on its head.
Yeah, I mean, but why do you think they? I just cannot understand like why they just thought. I think it's also, I think it goes back to October 7. I think it's just October 7 just started. For those who don't know, October 7 was the Palestinian resistance forces, attacked Israel and killed a bunch of people. And then after that, the Israeli government started, or I guess accelerated their genocidal project that it was already going on for the past 70 years. And I think that just created this dominoes effect that it had to be Iran, right, at some point, because the head of the axis of evil, what they call, or the other side calls it axis of resistance, right? But do you think it's just why do you think it just came to this point in your assessment?
It's hard to say because this conflict. I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere. Obviously, there's, as we've alluded to already, is like 40 years of context involved in it. But this particular bout of aggression has sort of, since the second Trump term, has really come out of left field a little bit in the sense that, well, again, coming back to October 7th, since October 7th, there's been a wild level of militancy pointed directly at Iran by the United States. It doesn't seem, nothing changed other than October 7th happening, which the resistance attack of October 7th will probably go down as one of the most important political events of this century, easily.
Turning point.
9/11 and October 7th will stand next to each other as two of the most important dates in the history of our lifetimes, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But yeah, since October 7th, it seems like the Israeli regime of Benjamin Netanyahu and his coalition seems to have decided that this is the moment to settle all accounts, to finish everything, which means genocide in Gaza. It means the conquering of southern Lebanon, which we're currently seeing, and it means ending the Iranian revolutionary regime, which we're probably not going to see that. Looking at how, especially at the Israeli conduct. But yeah, it's all roads lead back ideologically and politically to Iran on one side, and all roads in history lead back to October. In recent history, lead back to October 7th. And we know that Iran does support a lot of organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, ideologically and materially, they support organizations like Ansar Allah, Iraqi resistance group in Iraq and in Syria too. But after the fall of Assad, they're not active. But of course, Hezbollah is probably the most prominent and most powerful group of them all. And most of them are religiously Shia, and their North Star is Ayatollah and Iran, right? But I think I want to talk more about Israel. I think their goal and American goal is kind of the same, but not so same at the same time.
I think they're fellow travelers.
Yes, they are like their goals are aligned up to a certain point. I think since October 7th, we've seen, like I said, the invasion of Lebanon, invasion. We can probably say invasion of Syria. I mean, they're
they have. Yeah.
It's kilometers away from Damascus.
It's limited to invasion, but it's definitely
it is. I mean, they're saying we don't know when we're gonna leave from here. Like it's gonna be indefinite, right?
Yeah.
And they're already occupying Golan Heights. Of course, West Bank and whatnot. And recently there was a huge talk about American Ambassador Mike Huckabee talking about he's okay with Greater Israeli Project. Basically means up to the Euphrates and then down quarter of Saudi Arabia, up the whole of Lebanon and Syria.
Yeah, I believe the Sinai as well.
Yeah, the Sinai of Egypt. So I think if you had asked me 5 years ago if that was possible or if that was real, I would say, they will say, but I mean, who's going to stop them, right?
Yeah, well, that's been an ongoing theme of this aggression since 2023. Has been, who's going to stop you, or who's going to stop them? Has been the underlying theme of all of this. Because as you said a few years ago, I would have thought that was complete fantasy. The idea that Israel is going to, expand its borders in a directly military, straight up conquering way.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that on my my 2000s bingo card. In retrospect, I don't know why I didn't have it on my bingo card. I mean, but
I mean, you never think that it's just gonna get worse. Like you always think it's gonna get better. There's gonna be negotiations. There's gonna be deals. Whatnot. You never think it would just go downhill until October 7th happened. And I think the goal is who's going to stop them is I think that's Iran, right?
Yes,
Iran and the groups, the axis of resistance, or Iranian proxies, whatever people want to call them. I think they're the only ones standing against all these Gulf countries, the Gulf monarchies, GCC countries. They don't really care.
No, they seem to be looking out for number one at all costs.
Yeah.
The Gulf states. I think the only, I mean, it's not an exception, but the only complicated one I'd say of those is the Saudis, just because they're also, as much as any other country, looking out for number one, but they're doing it in a way that's a little less open capitulation to the Americans. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think Qatar and the like, they don't really have the options that the Saudis have available.
Yeah.
And the American endorsement of this Greater Israel Project, which it seems at this point is all but in the works, at least in a limited way at any rate.
Yeah.
The American endorsement of it will cause ripples down the line that we haven't even begun to see yet in Gulf state American and Israeli relations, because um, it's all well and good for the Gulf states to try to align with Israel out of reasons of economics or realpolitik, but it's a whole other matter when you start dealing with uh, open annexations, which is, I think, the next step that everyone can see coming, and that how far along the Saudis the Egyptians are going to be towed along by this regime is anyone's guess, but they haven't broken yet.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. That is very interesting. I think what Americans are just uh, why Americans are aligning with Israel in this war, or they have already always aligned with Israel, but I don't think they care about Greater Israel or that project as long as America can maintain their hegemonic power, right? And Israel is their attack dog.
Yes.
They will do their dirty work. They will assassinate people. They will assassinate scientists in Iran. They will do anything that Americans don't want to do because it would look bad. But Israel doesn't really care. Uh, but I think what they didn't see it coming is, first of all, Israel and United States are really unpopular in the region amongst the people, not the government, right? The governments are, of course, most of them are theocratic monarchy. Most of them are almost dictatorial monarchy, I guess. So there's no freedom of expression amongst people there. But they're deeply unpopular, even if somehow they are able to repair this relationship after Iran war. I don't think the region is still going to be the same. I think after this war, I think we're looking at a very different war. First of all, I don't think Iran will go down anyway. But even if it does, I don't think the American and Israeli hope of controlling this region, I don't think that's going to happen.
Not a chance. I think the best case scenario for the Israeli American side would be chaos, the Libyaization of Iran. I don't see there being any path towards a stable pro-Western government in Iran. If they tried to establish one, I think it would probably be overthrown instantly. It would make the Shah look popular, which apparently they're not going to use the next Shahist in line for the throne. So
no.
There's at least that going for the situation.
Yeah, because they found out that he's not popular at all.
No. Turns out people don't like monarchs anymore.
No.
They're really over the whole.
Of course.
Yeah. The Age of Kings thing is really, we're past it.
Yeah, I think we're too much advanced. Doesn't matter what country or society we live in. I think monarchies are kind of dead.
The Shah is going to get his throne back around the same time that the Miami Cubans are going to get their plantations and slaves back.
Yeah,
it's not happening. But whether they can introduce a different government into the region is anyone's guess. But whatever it is, I don't think it'll last very long. I think at this point, if peace was declared right now while we're recording this episode, I feel like the American position in the Gulf states would be untenable almost instantly. They know, they're not going to switch sides while the missiles are still hitting them. None of them are really pro-Iran in that sense. So they're not going to switch sides during the conflict. But once this conflict dust settles, whatever it looks like, it won't look like the American hegemonic Middle East that George Bush and Barack Obama built, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I think, let's talk about the war itself. Who's winning the war?
You could calculate it a few different ways. Militarily, still at the status quo, the Western forces of the U.S. and Israel. Not because of their ability to continue the war, but based on the amount of damage they're dealing versus the amount of damage they're receiving. But that changes on an hour by hour, minute by minute basis because they're economically in a very in a very disadvantageous position.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like the Iranians don't have at this point a navy or an air force really, whereas the Americans and Israelis are flying F-35s and hitting them with cruise missiles and all that, and it's doing an appalling amount of damage inside Iran. We don't know the details because of the internet cutouts, but we know it's almost certainly extreme just by the amount of explosives they're throwing around. There's bound to be, but politically, and what Iran is engaged in right now is very much political warfare, and they are winning that fight. Because you can do as much damage as your military is capable of. You can inflict all the casualties in the world, but if you're not in a geopolitical position to improve your situation, then you're not winning. You're just doing damage, and that's politically speaking, and that's where we're at right now, where Iran isn't going to inflict the damage they need to do to stop the war outright. They don't have the ability to destroy American carriers. They can't blow away all the Israeli Air Force bases. They can hurt them, certainly.
Yeah.
But ultimately, their missiles and drone tactics right now are political weapons, where they're using those to affect a political outcome, which it's working, as we see with the Gulf states. They're furious. They're furious at the Americans. They're furious that the Americans are pulling their support. Even as far away as South Korea is mad at the United States for pulling THAAD batteries out. So Iran is winning on the basis that they're doing political damage that far outweighs the actual size of the crater, essentially.
Yeah. And I think Iran was prepared for this. They're not stupid people.
Yeah.
Like when you look at Iranian government or what's left of them, most of them are like PhDs and they've studied politics.
Oh yeah.
They've studied in Western universities. They're not.
They're highly educated.
Very educated, and of course, we as in the West, we would like to see them as this religious, barbaric, backward religious people. Of course, there is. Like every society, there are religious fundamentalists, and
obviously,
but it's not a monolith, right? So they are very savvy, politically savvy, and very smart, and they have been preparing for this war for 47 years almost. And I read a tweet from their foreign minister Abbas Araghchi. He was saying that we don't have to do a lot of we don't have to put a barrier at the Strait of Hormuz. We just have to fire a couple of rockets or drones, and your insurance will be so high, your insurance won't cover you, so that you cannot cross the Hormuz because the insurers won't do it.
And it's
going to be too expensive.
His statement cuts right across the success of the strategy that the Iranians are using, and that is that you can attack your enemy all day. You can threaten shipping all you want, and you can attack shipping. But the thing is, you don't need to succeed every time. You can defend ships.
Yeah.
It can be considered a success that you defend those ships, but it doesn't mean that route is economically viable anymore.
No.
During the 1987 to 88 tanker war, during the Iran-Iraq war, during which they were fighting from 1980, I believe, to 1989, I believe. We'll have to check back on the figures afterwards.
Yeah, 9 years.
Yeah. During that period, during the 87 to 88 section of that conflict, the United States, in Operation Earnest Will, started escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz in a sort of dress rehearsal for this conflict.
Mm-hmm.
The Iranian objectives were a lot more limited in that conflict. They were only going after Iraqi, flagged and Iraqi oil delivering ships, whereas now the Iranians are targeting any ship that does not have permission to go through. But even with Operation Earnest Will, what the problem became was that you will succeed if you put the entire U.S. Navy into a given area and enforce the transit of those tankers. But how can you possibly make that an economically viable option? Because we live in capitalism,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it's not about the ability to get some oil out of it; it's be able to get all of the oil. And as you said, the Iranian foreign minister really hits on the nose with that because they've been studying this problem. They know they don't have to destroy every tanker, they don't have to destroy every ship, they just have to destroy enough of them.
Yeah.
And dent a few along the way, burn some paint off a few more.
Yeah.
And, liquid natural gas tankers, especially, are pretty famous for their ability to explode. So,
and they look insane when they explode.
Yeah.
The videos and photos we've seen, they look, like
Apocalyptic.
It's just out of a movie scene, right? It's
Yeah.
just and yeah, they know what they're doing. They know where they can hurt Americans the most is attack all these GCC countries, close down this. Trump says, "Oh, we're the biggest producer of oil. We don't get oil from the region," which is true, of course.
It is. Yeah.
But your dollar it's petrodollar. Your dollar is based off of how much oil the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, can sell.
Absolutely.
So
And also the Asian economies are all heavily reliant on the Gulf oil,
mm-hmm.
and the United States is heavily reliant on Asian economies still existing.
Yeah.
So I would challenge an American economist to make the American economy survive when the Japanese, South Korean, Taiwanese, and Philippine economies are not. I imagine they'd find a very different position from Trump on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I mean, all of these investments that these Gulf countries are making, I mean, that's how Trump is going to, respond to those, right? Like all of the investment in multiple, all these AI companies, all these tech companies. Elon Musk had to borrow money from the Saudis to buy Twitter, because they have all this liquid cash.
It's coming at a terrible time for the Gulf states. Because all of them are, as like both of us are sports fans for sports that are heavily investing now in the Gulf states. The Bahrain Formula One Grand Prix and the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix in Jeddah have just been canceled.
Yep.
A couple weeks ago. First world problems. I mean, there are greater things afoot, but it does reflect the state of play that these millions upon millions of dollar events are being just scrubbed left, right, and center. I mean, there's every manner of sport. There's any manner of concerts, any manner of the Gulf states just in the past 10 years have really started this like renaissance of trying to attract Western capital, Western interest, and now Western interest is fleeing to the sound of rockets. And
yeah, I mean, but we're talking about sports today. I think, if I'm not wrong, no, I think tomorrow. So Spain and Argentina. Spain is the European Championship, Argentina South American Championship. They were supposed to play.
And this is football, right?
Football, yeah, soccer or football.
Yeah.
They were supposed to play the Finalisma. It's called every 4 years. Winners of two continental championship. So that's Messi versus Lamine Yamal. For people, if you watch football, those are like Messi is the biggest name, and Lamine Yamal is the biggest upcoming player. That's like 500 million people live like viewers. It's a huge event, and that was supposed to happen in Qatar, in Doha, and it's canceled.
Yeah, and these are enormous economic opportunities that these countries are losing, and they're also enormous PR opportunities. Because I mean, we know the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has fairly poor PR that they've earned.
Well, I mean,
and the other ones are not much better off.
But Mohammed bin Salman in the last few years, after he saw what Qatar and UAE was doing, he was like, all right, we should try out. That's why they've been sponsoring all these sports events, and they're allowing foreigners more liberty, foreigners and people who make money.
Yeah.
If you make
not
more than
foreign employees.
if you make more than like $10,000-$15,000 or whatever, you can buy alcohol. But he's trying to. He knows that the country's image has been tarnished because people think this is like a dogmatic, backward society that doesn't have any civil liberty, and that's why they have been investing in all these events and investing in all these multinational corporations, giving Trump money, giving Trump jets, and all this, just so that they could have this relationship, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like
in the space of almost a month now, gone, ripped to pieces.
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna go back to. And don't get me wrong, especially Saudis and UAE. Of course, I'm not. There are like different factions within these countries, but
of course,
a lot of people wanted this war to happen. Behind the closed doors, they've been similar to Israelis. They've been
just like
lobbying.
Just like the U.S. and Israelis, everyone has their neocon hawks, and Iran's persona non grata number one among all of them.
Yeah, I mean, before this war started, like a couple of weeks, before I would be reading articles on, Saudis don't want this war. They would get directly affected by this war. But then the next day there would be another article saying, behind the closed doors, Saudis are saying that this is the time to strike Iran. If you don't strike, they will get emboldened, and the regime might not fall. So of course there's always, it's not a none of the countries are monoliths, but it's still, after this, I think they realize that America doesn't really care.
No, since you brought it up, there has been discussion in Saudi Arabia of them joining the conflict.
Yes, and UAE.
Yes, it adds a layer to this on top of it as well, because well, there's a few different things. I understand it from the point of view of basic logic. They're getting hit by stuff, they hit stuff back. This sort of tit for tat. That's it's not without reason, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because the amount they're bringing to the table is not very much, especially with the smaller of the Gulf states. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has quite a significant military force, but the other ones, they have enough plenty to defend themselves with, but they're not going to turn the tide of this conflict with the Qatari Air Force. Mm-hmm. So I do wonder what the rationale behind that is, of being simultaneously furious at the United States, even more furious at Israel, but also still joining in the conflict is an interesting development.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they're, maybe they think that if there is enough, military power, if they combine their forces, they might be able to take down Iran. I don't know. I mean, I'm not you're the military guy, I'm not, but I don't see that happening. Like, I just cannot see that happening.
I can't see what they bring to the table adding significantly to it, not in a way that would make a difference. Mm-hmm. I do worry about the status of Yemen.
Yes.
With the Saudis potentially joining. Mohammed bin Salman, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, said that this is a historic moment to reshape the Middle East. And, I mean, he's going to say lots of positive things in public if he's going to make some sort of big move. He may still be seething about the Americans behind the scenes, but the reality is it sounds like his rhetoric is indicating that he's going to jump hold of this with both.
Yeah, I mean, they're not new to violently killing people. That
nope.
They've done it to Yemen. 2011 when it started?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 2011 till 21, I think, like 10-year Saudi-led coalition with UAE, Saudis, Americans, and all these other countries. It was a genocide in Yemen, right?
Absolutely.
And the fact, but the funny interesting fact is that they couldn't defeat Ansar Allah.
Yeah, Ansar Allah is one of the most resilient networks in the world, and certainly in the region. Across the only rival I can think of is the Taliban.
Yeah.
In terms of just resilience and dogmatic adherence to their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
They unilaterally declared that they would attack Israel when Israel started the genocide of Palestinians, and that takes some stones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whatever else you may say about Ansar Allah, the reality is that they're probably some of the hardest bastards anyone's ever met.
I mean,
um,
what was it, like 6, 7 months ago? The Israelis literally killed the entire civil governance,
yeah, just
from prime
bombed that town,
minister
I think.
to like almost every civil governance, leaders, and still they're standing tall. And they start, like I said, they started. They got involved in this conflict after the genocide in Palestine, and they were very true to their word. They're like, after, if there's a ceasefire, we're gonna stop. And in between, when there was a couple of months of ceasefire when Trump got elected, they stopped. And when it continued, they again, they've been very like the West has been trying to portray these groups as like this is like mindless, irrational terror group or whatever. But they've been very clear.
Yeah.
Our goal is just don't attack these people, or that don't attack us. Then we will leave. I mean, even Iran, like all these years, they could have closed Strait of Hormuz many years ago.
Yeah, it could have been close half of the existence of that regime.
Exactly.
They felt so inclined.
They could have done this, but they never did until it was like it was existential threat for them, right? And it is like.
Well, it absolutely is. Yeah.
So this is their own. This is their only choice. Like, what else can they do?
Yeah. This is their trump card, and the Ansar Allah forces have their own trump card, and that is the Red Sea. The Red Sea, of course, leads to the Suez Canal as well. So it's one of the most important trade conduits in the Middle East outside of the...
Even more important than Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I guess it's more of a commodities versus energy.
Energy, yeah. Because it connects Mediterranean Europe to Asia directly, right?
Yeah. And so far, I mean, as you've already noted, Yemen has been in a constant state of genocidal war in defense of the constant state of genocidal war since 2011 now, and they've really only had a few months.
Yes. Sorry to cut you off. Canada was also heavily involved in selling weapons to the Saudis. I think Canada was the second biggest seller to Saudi Arabia during that time.
Yeah.
And UAE.
I don't want to say, I could be wrong on the exact stats, but I want to say we sold them something like 600 armored vehicles. If you ever can find it, there's a great picture of a bunch of destroyed Canadian-built labs in the middle of the Yemeni desert because they lost a ton of them there.
Yeah.
But yes, we also supported, but I do not believe sent ships to the Red Sea clearing operation that didn't work. Which also, the Red Sea clearance failure, which after the October 7th attacks, the Ansar Allah forces declared the Red Sea closed to Israeli and pro-Israeli, so American shipping. And they destroyed a bunch of ships, captured some, and effectively ended transit through the Red Sea to Eilat, Israel. The port of Eilat went bankrupt. Like it was very effective.
Oh yeah,
it acted as a good practice, I would say, for everybody involved for this current crisis.
Yeah, I think there was Iranians probably saw that and were like, "Oh, this is gonna be a cakewalk."
Yeah.
Because they're much more powerful than Ansar Allah, right?
Yeah, they provide gear for Ansar Allah.
Yeah.
Because they're our allies. And the only people who weren't looking at that war and noting the results were the Americans, it seems.
Yeah. So, talking about Iran. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to If people don't know how the war works or what's going on right now. Uh, Iran is just flying rockets and missiles at a very high strike rate now compared to before, because they've decimated all the radar systems. I think that's what Iran has been successful in, like targeting strategic, military assets, and they are a very decentralized military, I would say, right? They're not
extremely. The Hezbollah and Ansar Allah and the Iranian military, all three share common lineage in ideas and training, but also they share a common interest in operational security.
Mm-hmm.
They know that their upper echelon commanders will be killed, or at least taken out of communications. So they plan for that. Most military planning is just contingency planning over and over again, and they'll have done contingency planning for every measure of casualties all the way down the line of the chain of command.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, if everybody's boss's boss has been killed, the guy with the launcher, the guy with the equipment, whatever it may be, has an order in his hand that says, if you don't hear from any of us, do this.
Yeah.
Sort of like a dead man's switch sort of system.
Yeah.
Hezbollah recently announced that they were going to an even more decentralized system in response to the Israeli invasion. And as we saw, during the last Israeli invasion of Lebanon, when they opened it with the pager bombing attack, where booby-trapped pagers went off and killed, maimed, and injured many Lebanese people, some of whom were Hezbollah, some of whom were children of nurses, any number of people, because turns out a lot of people still use pagers.
Yeah, because phone is expensive, so people use page and then go to a phone booth and call them, or and hospitals still use pagers in a lot of countries.
And use them for like on-call doctors, all sorts of stuff. So it was absolutely horrifying move by the Israelis. But it also showcased how ineffective decapitation operations are against an organization like Hezbollah. Like, they killed the leader of Hezbollah. Much of the higher echelon staff was either killed or maimed in that pager attack and the subsequent attacks. And there's still a bunch of burning Merkavas in Israel to show that.
Yeah, I mean, today we saw a video.
Yeah.
A PFE drone smoking 2 Merkavas, and Merkavas are the most advanced.
They're up there, yeah.
Yeah, one of the most advanced, I guess.
Certainly, in terms of crew survivability, it's one of the best ones.
Yeah, and then and also similarly to Hezbollah, they did the same in Iran, and they know that their leadership is going to be killed, and they are here for martyrdom. That's the goal, right? Especially for an 86-year-old man,
an 86-year-old devout religious man who gets given the martyrdom he always wanted. Like, not much of a threat.
Exactly. You just, that's like, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, allegedly he was very sick. He might have like some terminal illness. So, like, how do you want to go out?
Yeah.
Like, it's so I see on the internet, I see the disconnect between people who support this war, saying, "Oh, we killed all these leaders. Your navy is decimated. All this blah blah blah. Everything, we bombed everything. You lost your leader within the first hours of the war." And they laugh at them, but they knew it was going to happen. Iranians were prepared.
Yeah,
it's not new for them, and
it's baked in. It's baked into what they know they have to go through as part of this.
Exactly, and you saw people rising up in India, like Kashmir, and lots of different places you never would have thought that they were chanting "Death to America" in India. Which is crazy. and so they don't realize the ripple effect this is gonna cause. And also, like I said, this is a very decentralized military, have full autonomy to do whatever they feel like is the right thing, right thing to do, and they have a lot of people as well.
A lot of trained people.
A lot of trained people, and another thing is geographically, it's a mountain fortress.
Yeah, if you look at an overlay of the map of Iran on top of the map of Europe, you can cover up most of Spain, France, and Germany with it. It is a big country. The are various types of maps that we use. I think Mercator, I think it is, that
Yeah.
shows Greenland super big. Yeah, it doesn't do the size of Iran justice whatsoever
No.
because it's right on the equator, but it is a very large country.
Yeah.
And that should have probably been something that the Americans thought of before a month ago.
Yeah.
Um, and everyone since Alexander the Great should have thought of that too while they were at it.
Yep. No. I know. It's just. But I also want to. So this is just gonna be like a. We're just talking shit. This is our first episode.
What we're doing.
Yeah. So from in the next episode we'll go deep into the specific topics. Even within this war, we'll talk about specific countries and stuff. But I think we can end on this note. What do you think about Canada's response? So Carney has been, in Davos, he gave a speech saying, if you're not, uh, I think it was targeted to Americans, if you're not on the table, you're on the menu. This is a new world. The liberal new world order is dying, and American hegemony is, it's just taking over everything, and it doesn't have allies. It just have, it just have. It's not a reliable ally anymore. And then he comes out and say he's in support of this war. But then also he says no, but we're not going to get involved, and it shouldn't. Americans shouldn't have launched the war. And today I saw his tweet saying, "Oh, he supports all these GCC countries potentially being involved in this war," which was, and he's referring to Iranian response as an unprovoked response. So where do you see Canada standing? Of course, we're not gonna get involved.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Not directly, and certainly not yet.
I mean, there was a base in Kuwait.
There was. It ate some drones.
It's not there anymore.
No, there's some bits missing now.
Yeah.
We didn't have any troops there anymore. The only Canadian troops in the area were withdrawn out of, I think it was Kuwait, actually, as part of the NATO withdrawal from Iraq and its environs. Yeah, the Canadian government response has been, at best, incoherent. As you said, his speech at Davos was great. All it was missing was a Antonio Gramsci quote about the time of monsters. But what it lacked was any follow through beyond nice words. I mean, the guy could deliver a mean speech. I think that we've definitely learned about Mark Carney. I think he's trying to have his cake and eat it too, in one sense, in that he knows the CAF is not in a position to do really anything in this conflict. He was just today flexing the 2% of GDP budget that the CAF just made it up to. But these changes that he's introduced won't reflect in capabilities yet.
Yeah.
We're still very much in the process of buying F-35s. They're not ready yet. And they're the only aircraft that we have in possession that we could even use in the area. Our F-18s were too obsolete to bomb Libya, so they're off the table. Our ships also don't bring a lot to the table when it comes to advanced anti-drone air defense. So, yeah, I think he's trying to play the events as if he's going to be as if emotionally, he's going to be a player, but in reality, he isn't. So, in one sense, I say he can support or not support things as much as he wants. It doesn't actually change much in terms of on the ground. But what it does do is embolden others by attaching Canada's credibility to him. Like by saying things like the Iranian attacks are unprovoked, as if nothing happened on the February 28th.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and he seems to be replicating Keir Starmer, who has pledged that he will not attack Iran or take part of it in offensive operations, but he is sending ships to open the Strait of Hormuz, which isn't an offensive operation because he said so.
Yeah, of course.
So it feels like Carney's trying to play, like a budget Starmer.
Yeah.
Budget Starmer impression.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Starmer. We'll talk about Starmer.
Yeah.
I think there has to be an episode on Starmer.
Oh, a whole Clown Shoes episode.
Oh my god. But the funny thing is, all these Europeans, French, and especially the Brits, they think that if you don't directly strike, these countries with your air force, it's not provocative, or it's not, you're only working in defense or whatever. I mean, they're letting them use their tankers.
Yeah, their bases.
Yeah. And their surveillance. I mean, throughout the genocide, still today, like throughout, since the start of the genocide, the British surveillance jets have been flying above Gaza and Lebanon, and they've been using their tankers, everything. But of course, they're not involved, and they can. Once in a while, they can condemn all these war crimes, and say that all these Americans, they're too crazy, but
while still supporting them.
Yeah. What are you doing about it?
Yeah, Carney said that all parties should respect international law, which, like, cool story, bro. But we know that they're not currently doing so. Yeah, like if I was getting attacked in the street and getting mugged or something, and somebody walked up to me and said that everybody should respect that my wallet is mine, I won't feel like I'm here helping anybody.
No, exactly. And it's funny to see that, all these countries talk about international law, whatever, but then do nothing, and then condemn all these resistance forces doing what they have to do because they're defending their people.
I think we're seeing the clearest indication that the difference between a bombing campaign and terrorism is ultimately how much of a budget that your program had in advance.
Yep.
Because the Americans can do a bombing campaign, but if Iran strikes even one U.S. city with a terrorist attack or something along those lines, or terrorist by employment and means as opposed to as a ideological. If they attack the United States in some way to strike fear, they'll say that's terrorism and criminality and all this. Whereas what the Americans do is righteous and good, and we're not at war. We're just bombing.
Yeah, I mean, well, within the first hours of bombing on the February 28th, they bombed a school.
Yes. Yeah,
160 children.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Blatant war crime, and a deliberate one, too.
It is. They double tapped.
Yeah, they may not have known it was a school. They should have known.
I feel like, this is...
It won't help it won't help at the trials that they didn't know.
Yeah. I feel like, they are using all this AI technology.
Yes.
And I'm sure AI is not very good at, sorting out targets. I think they probably made a mistake, but then double tapping a school is insane. I mean, we've been seeing that in Gaza for the last 2 years. Yeah, whatever. I think. Okay. So let's end it on this note. What do you see happening? What's your prediction? for the next week. We can have a longer.
Yeah, it's even a week is a long.
Yeah, even the next. So tomorrow, 27. 27 is 26 today, right? It's Friday.
Yes.
Trump normally attacks after the market is closed. It is closed on Friday.
So some things I read online, for what that's worth, indicated that his first ground troops will be ready and operational on Friday, so today.
Yes.
So yeah, he could. I think his moratorium on bombing power infrastructure is a fairly clear case of pushing the inevitable economic crisis down the road. He knows it's going to happen. The second U.S. boots hit Iran, the economy is going to go to shit more than it already is.
Yeah.
So I think he's just trying to delay that moment for as long as humanly possible. So yeah, maybe we'll see some ground action. I don't think so this week. I think they'll probably need a bit more time to do admin and prep and plan and stage and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they could surprise us. The element of surprise has not been something they've been really terribly concerned about up to this point.
Yeah.
They're telegraphing all of their behavior well in advance, so we'll see if that. We'll see if it's deliberate, I guess.
Yeah.
I know if I was trying to deceive where I was going to land my Marines, I'd definitely tell Trump to say the wrong place.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Any move towards Karg Island means they're going to have to get through the entire Gulf, which will be a process in of itself. So if that happens, we'll know it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is it. This is our first episode. I think I don't know how it went. Probably we'll find out.
Yeah.
While editing or
we'll see it in post production.
Yeah, post production, and probably we'll get some feedbacks. And if anyone watches this, if they want to suggest, comment on anything, you can. This is the first time doing this. It's easy to talk on chat on your phone. It's hard to talk in front of camera. We're not very used to it.
We can't express ourselves with memes like we do most of the time.
Exactly, and we can't really share those memes in the public. We went to journalism school, but most of the time we're asking questions to people, right? We're not the subject of.
Yeah, no one really wants journalist opinions most of the time.
Exactly, no one, and so yeah, we might be a little bit awkward at first, but of course we're gonna improve.
We'll figure it out.
Hopefully. So we'll see you in the next episode then.
Yeah. Come monitor the situation with us.
Yep.